How is everyone today?
Dandy.
Yeah? Awesome. Colorado has gotta be, I thought Texas had some weather swings. It was crazy town. We got 18 inches, and then that morning, and then Saturday night, it melted down to about 4. Yeah. I don't get it. So there was a. Did you guys see that advertisement that was on here? I just want to point something out. It said, if you elect to move to Canada in November, just remember your Spotify upgrade subscription. You know, the elections, people move to Canada. Let me just tell you. It's not as great as everyone thinks it is, okay? Having been born and raised there, my brother pays 54% income tax.
So less than me. That's what you're saying.
Less than you, yeah, almost. Hey,
what's up, boss?
Pal, how are you, man?
Good, man.
Good.
I was just congratulating Elizabeth for going under contract.
Oh!
I have to say, it was thanks to the help of Marty and Jay and Diane and you, that brainstorming time over lunch was awesome. Totally awesome. Teamwork is truly dream work.
Nice.
Wow.
KW Wellness turned out real well for you.
Wait, but how many offers did you have to write before you got one to go under?
Do I have to
Yes,
say?
you do.
With this specific client, honestly, only 4.
Okay, that's pretty good. But how about total?
I honestly don't have an exact amount, but I would say at least probably 10. Yeah.
10 offers before one gets. Hey, congratulations! I mean, you're in the big leagues now. Oh, that's great. Proud of you. Awesome, cool. Anybody got anything you want to celebrate before we get started this morning? What do you got, Trip?
I also went under contract.
Hey! Great job, man. Well,
Weekend.
yeah.
No one else was out, so we went out, looked at places. We were the only people to tour it this weekend.
Nice.
And she said that she had about 10 phone calls asking if people would come see it today.
Boom. Love it, man. That's great. Good for you.
I'm going to go on vacation next week, because last week, on vacation, I took a listing, put it under contract the day I got back, so it stimulates business.
It does, man. It totally does.
I swear it really does.
It
does.
Every time you
Started at the airport.
That's awesome.
Well, hey, and I want to point out something for those of you. One of our main mantras is having businesses worth owning, careers worth having, and lives worth living. I just got to, vicariously live through Jim Sanborn last week as he was in Augusta at the Masters.
Yeah.
So those of you who weren't following his journey, man, that looked like a ton of fun.
You kids don't try this at home, we're professionals.
So those of you who haven't, start planning for having like some fun with this business. Please put it on your calendar to do something awesome. Okay. So, so before we get started, do you want to do some little market update? Kind of get rolling.
Sounds good.
Okay. We're gonna just continue on with our series of climbing the S curve, guys. We're almost getting to the top. Anybody feeling more and more like an expert? I hope so. All right. Yeah, good. Because otherwise, we've been 7 weeks of just sitting here standing looking at us. So, no, the reality is, guys, is this process doesn't end. Okay. So we're going to get to an area that is a little bit sensitive for some people, but I'll break that open gently. Okay. So we'll talk some numbers first, kind of deaden your senses. And then we'll jump into this next aspect. So, Senor Reiswig, you want to take it away?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. Did you sell something this weekend? A couple of you did. Awesome. All right, guys. So, how many of you have recently, sometime in the last, 2 years now, been having clients tell you, well, I would buy a house, but it's a bubble right now, so I'm just going to wait. It's a bubble right now. It's all going to pop, and it's going to be just like 2007 and 8 and 9 all over again, right? So today's article and discussion is about how that is not the case, okay? From somebody who really knows a whole lot better than Lee and I, okay? So did anybody read this article this weekend? Awesome. Did you see it, whether I sent it out to you or not? Good. So, Denver home price gains are steep and not a bubble. Who's the chief economist, guys? Yep. From who? From NAR. Mr. Yoon, the chief economist from National Association of Realtors, visited Denver last week, and I'm sure that he's got a team of researchers that prep him before he goes to each of his cities that he visits, because then he's going to get interviewed by their newspapers. And Denver, of all places in the nation, I'm sure he was ready for this conversation. So, some of the numbers are staggering, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because it looks like almost all of you read it. But basically, the biggest thing I want you to see here is this top paragraph. The median price of a home sold in Denver Metro went from $280 in 2013 to $353 in 2 years. 2 years flat. Okay? That's what, like a 26% jump, I think is what it said?
Yep.
Ridiculous. Twice as fast as the national average. Guys, we could quadruple our listings, our active listings right now, and still not quite be at the national average or the historical average. Okay? So, when we say that there's a listing crisis, that's saying, understatement. So, here's what I want you guys to understand, and something that you need to memorize and take to your next appointment. And that is, Mr. Yoon notes that some key ingredients are needed to create a bubble, and they are missing. Okay? If you don't have these ingredients, you don't have a bubble. And that is easy credit. Okay? Easy credit. If they're just loaning out money left and right, if you can fog a mirror and get a loan for $500,000, that's a problem. Okay? I bought my first house here in Denver during subprime lending. I literally bought my house on a letter from a nonprofit organization that I was going to work for that said, Marty is a pretty good dude, and we think he's going to be able to raise his own salary of $60,000 a year. Raise it from other churches and friends and family. That was my entire argument to the loan company, was a letter saying we think he can. And I was able to buy an average house in Aurora. It was like $250,000. I had $0. Okay, that's a problem. That's problem number one. Ingredient number one for a bubble. Okay, if you don't have that, you don't have a bubble. Also, excess construction. Guys, do we have excess construction? Do we have tons and tons of builders just putting them up like left and right? Yeah. Kind of. Apartments. Exactly. Kind of. But we do have them, but not in excess. And there's the problem. There's the rub. The excess means supply and demand. Everybody understands basic supply and demand in here, I would assume. The reality, guys, is our demand is real. We have so many people moving here, guys. It's ridiculous. So in 2014 to 2015, the huge boom reality was when everybody turned in their taxes. There were like 56% of people who well, basically the reality was everybody was turning in. What was that article about being on the move? Did anybody see that one? Which is basically tons of people turning their taxes saying that they had moved either from one county to another in Colorado, which is a major move, okay, in the IRS world. If you move from one county to another, it's a major move, or one state to another, it's a major move. Colorado had 3 times the national average of those major moves. Wow. Tons of people moving into Denver. So we don't have an excess in construction. Our builders can't build them fast enough. Is anybody working with a new home buyer right now? Okay, how long are they saying it's going to take till they get their new houses?
10 months.
10 months? Yeah. One told him 7. Well, they told you 7, it will be 10. Yeah.
10 will be 12.
And 10 will be 12. It's exactly right. It happens all the time, doesn't it? Hey, new agents, when your buyer says, awesome, I got a new contract and it's going to be closed in September. What does that actually mean on a new build? It'll be Christmas. Yeah, every time. They all just try to beat the numbers by the end of the year. Anyway, guys, I wanted you to understand, you definitely want to take a look at this article. There's a strong influx of people relocating to the region. tons of people moving in, nobody's moving out, and this is the new normal.
Yeah.
Okay, the problem was 5, even 10 years ago, Denver was too cheap. It really was. I actually legitimately attribute it a lot to social media, that everybody started figuring out that Denver's a fantastic place to live. It's beautiful, it's sunny, we really don't get as much snow, well, except for this weekend, as the TV portrays, right? National news used to show just all of these terrible blizzard storms, and that's all everybody ever heard of Colorado. And then social media came into existence, and they started seeing Colorado's a beautiful place to live. It's cheaper than either of the coasts, and it's a thriving economy. Guys, our economy is so diversified and strong. There's really no reason for anybody to move out unless their company relocates them out. So as long as that continues, as long as we're not seeing companies go under, companies move out, as long as the mountains don't move farther west, okay, and as long as there's no major 9/11 event that we cannot predict that hurts the whole country, guys, this is the new normal. 350 is our new average. It just is. So when you talk to your clients, be the economist of choice. Understand a few numbers, understand a few statements, memorize a quote from, Chief, what is it called? Yoon. I don't remember his first name. Lawrence. From Larry Yoon. And be prepared for that discussion, because your clients are having it and they're misinformed. So many people are believing it's a bubble, and it really isn't. Know the two categories or ingredients for what creates a bubble, and be able to have a better conversation, because then they will look to you as the local expert rather than their nosy neighbor who just believes the houses are too high priced. Okay? Sound good, guys? Are you guys seeing this in the real world? In your real world, are prices leveling off or still going up? Still going up, right? How many offers did you have to compete with? 12. Yeah, and it was listed for $250, went for $276 or something ridiculous. Okay, it's the new normal right now, and so we have to step up and be the experts. Any stories or challenges with this lately, guys?
This is an offshoot of it. Somebody's been in a home, they refied 1 or maybe 2 times. They're down at 3%, 3.25. Man, that's a tough sell for them to give up that home when they are in such a great position for their APR, for their mortgage.
Yep.
Any thoughts? I mean, it's tough. That's a tough one.
Yep.
It is a tough one.
You mean trying to talk that person into selling?
Well, or they're considering things, but they say, but on the other hand, sounds like Fiddler on the Roof, But on the other hand,
On the other hand, yeah.
on the other hand, that APR is awfully lucrative to them too.
That's right. There will come a day. I don't think it'll be anytime soon. There's a lot of indications that the Fed won't do it soon, but there will come a day. We'll start having assumptions again, right? People will want to that 3.5%, that 4.5% interest rate will be viable. Yeah.
I'm finding sellers are resistant to listing this year because they feel it's going to continue to go up, which in a way this is backing that up.
That's tough to argue with.
So, I mean, it's a difficult argument, especially in an area like Arvada, which actually saw the highest increases in sales price than any other city in the entire metro area in 2015.
Yep.
So everyone is then predicting it's going to do the same thing next year. So, I'm struggling with coming up with that argument for why it's still now a good time to list their property, unless it's the whole, if you're buying a property, then it's going to continue to go up. Those types of pros and cons are a little bit difficult. But yeah, I mean, the whole bubble thing, we've been trying to tell our clients it's not really, that's not true anyway, while still encouraging them to sell if they are indeed, looking at listing.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I would always go back to their motivation. If really their only motivation, you guys, to sell their house is the market, that's usually a secondary or even tertiary argument. They're talking about what doesn't ultimately matter in their life. And I would always go back to, what's your motivation? Why are you even considering this? Because that's probably the discussion we need to have. And the buying power, right? Right now, you can turn around and buy that house for $450 you really want at a 4% interest rate. Whereas next summer, If that goes up 1 point, you just lost a bedroom and a bathroom. Why not make that move now? Yes, you're going to get cash, from your listing, and you might get more next year, but you might lose all of that in that point of interest next year. So just go do what you want to do right now because the market's good, and then you'll still. Okay, so if the wave is going up and it's going to go up again next year and the next 2 years, why not go enjoy that in your next house? Start taking equity in the house that you just bought. Yeah.
And I agree with that. We're a buyer right now with our daughter who's moving here. And, we kind of thought that the price point that we were going to be looking in was about $100,000 less than what the actuality is. But what we also recognize is that we don't want it to be another 100,000 higher.
You got
right? So at some point, you just sort of bite the bullet that you're in so that you can ride the wave instead of just waiting. And, so yes, while it goes up with you selling, it's going to go up while you buy as well. And the possibility of interest rates going up as well could get it to the point that it's not affordable any longer.
Yeah.
And so, as a relatively savvy buyer myself,
I would think.
I recognize that it's painful to go higher, but it would be more painful to wait and go even higher. So most sellers end up being buyers as well, unless they're going to sell and leave the state or something.
Yeah. I'm no chief Denver economist, but I will tell you, the conversation I'm having now with buyers is when they're talking about paying over appraisal, right? $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over appraisal. The conversation then goes to, well, how secure are you in your job? Because if you're not going to lose your job for the next 2 or 3 years, you're really just paying into the house that you're going to buy anyway. You're buying forward the equity you're going to earn by staying in this house the next 5 years. So as long as you don't lose your job and then lose your shirt, as long as you're secure in your job and you don't move, it's a little scary to buy over appraisal value, but that's the situation we're in to compete.
Remember the chart that you gave us with comparing the price of the home in the past with the interest rate in the past?
Yes.
With the income in the past?
Right,
and
yes.
Comparing that with today's
affordability.
Affordability, yeah. It's better.
So guys, that's the numbers you want to start watching, and that's the number that's kind of scaring Denver economists right now, is that our labor isn't going up. What's it called that the whole nation's money goes up? The appreciation and labor costs aren't increasing fast enough to keep up with this. So where we're seeing this actually is San Francisco right now has become kind of a,
Didn't we talk about this last week? Oh.
Those houses you showed us.
So what's interesting is the nation is kind of watching San Francisco to see what happens because their housing went way up, which is fine as long as everybody can afford them, but it crossed over affordability, Peggy. So that's exactly the conversation we're having.
Affordability in perspective.
Let's keep it in perspective. Are you making $200,000 a year, but you don't want to spend an extra $500 on your house? That may not make a whole lot of sense. So,
The article talks about active listings, inventory, but it doesn't talk about new listings or number of closings.
Yeah.
And my question is, and I should probably know this, but are the actual number of houses being listed down?
No, that's the other conversation to have, guys, and this is the one that I videotaped and sent out to my database, was the story that's not being told in Denver is active listings are always low right now because they're just getting bought up. More people bought homes in 2015 than ever in the whole history of Colorado and Denver, okay? So is it possible to buy houses in Denver? Yeah. Yeah, thousands and thousands of people have done it just in the first quarter. So it is possible, but you got to get in the game. You put on your pads and your helmet, and you got to play at a fast pace. But it's entirely possible. We're actually listing and selling more houses in Denver than ever.
We just have more people moving here, so it's still not enough.
You got it. So supply and demand are still where we all know. It's just, so again, great conversation to be having with your clients. Yeah, you can absolutely buy a house in Denver. You just got to get in the game.
one niche market that I think kind of goes to what Robin was talking about, and I have 2 back-to-backs, which are both senior retirement people. So they are motivated to move, whereas some other people may or may not be.
Yeah.
But I think that's a niche that's out there because that population is kind of ripe to sell.
Yeah. Yeah, they're seeing an opportunity to cash out, take that
The
lump.
right time for them to move out and move on to the next stage.
You got it.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I'm going to turn it over to you. Anything else?
Cool, thank you.
Yeah,
Good. Awesome. All right. I just want to make an observation. The fact that you guys are in this room, like, you can really sense your hunger to really not get outworked by the competition. The fact that we're talking about this and having these conversations, it actually, I say here, I'm really proud of you guys, because the truth of the matter is that there's a lot of people in your industry sitting on their laurels just kind of waiting for stuff to happen. I was reading some articles about, one of the biggest roadblock for most people to get into the game are agents. It's the reality of it is toxic agents really bring and dumb down the conversation. And the fact that we're in this room today, on the I-70 frontage road talking about how we can actually positively affect the market makes me really proud of the fact that you're owning this whole deal, okay? So we've been talking about this whole concept of climbing the S-curve of learning, right? Remember, it kind of starts real slow and then a gradual steep climb, and then basically you hit that plateau. If you don't jump onto another curve, you can fall off the precipice, right? Okay, so the first things that we were talking about, anybody remember what number 1 was? I want to review it. Oh, come on. Please, I was just bragging on how proud of you as I was. The number one thing.
Confidence.
Okay, yes, so there's a level of confidence that sort of comes when you get to a certain point, and then there's competency as well. So we're going to call this point competency, right? This is confidence, okay? Eventually, as you climb, your competency grows to the point where you're confident. You know what you're talking about. But first, you have to do what? You got to take the right risk. No? Okay. Okay, sure. So that's part of going into embracing constraints. So basically, as you take the right risks, you figure out what you want to do. You're about 10 to 15% in market penetration. You took a risk. I got a real estate license, and I'm self-employed. Hey, that's a risk, right? Nothing real secure. Everybody woke up unemployed today. Right? Okay. So we're hungry, so we're going to get something, okay? So you took the right risks, okay? Then what happens is we figured out how to play to our distinctive strengths. We're not shrugging off the compliments that we receive because we understand that people recognize that. Remember? That was an exercise that we did. Okay? Then last time we talked about how to really embrace the constraints. What Marty was talking about, there's constraints in the market. Okay? There's real things you have to do. You either can get paralyzed by it or you can embrace it and figure out how do I judo throw that over so that I can actually monetize these constraints. Elizabeth did it this weekend. Tripp did it this weekend. I think Glenn did too. Did I hear that? Right? Yeah. Anybody? So people are actually, Rose did it. We're figuring out how to embrace that. So the next thing we're going to talk about, and this might, like I said, is a little sensitive. This might ping to our inner 12-year-old. All right, ready? It's how to battle entitlement. Ooh. Feel the energy in the room shift a little bit? Ugh. Okay. Lee, what do you mean by that? Battling entitlement, okay, is the biggest innovation killer. This whole process, guys, is disruptive innovation. It's how to really, truly become the expert. There's a certain point as you go through this that when your competency catches up to your confidence, before you've really mastered something, right here, that apex where it basically collides, you're like, oh man, I got this. I figured this all out, right? Does anybody ever get to that point where they feel entitled to something in life? Okay, thank you. Everybody put your hand up. We're all human, okay?
For about a second.
Entitlement is the belief that something is owed to you by life. Okay? I'm glad to see that those who aren't millennials in the room put their hand up, right? Because that's the label that most millennials get. The truth of the matter is we all deal with it. When our competency reaches our confidence point, we think, hey, we got this figured out. People should just call me because I'm awesome. Well, we're discovering that the constraints of the market, they're really not. You have to go out there hungry every day, okay? So, what does that look like in real estate, especially when you first get in? What's the entitlement mentality when you first start in real estate? What does that look like?
You gotta hustle.
Okay, so that's maybe an aspect of it.
My friends and family will use me.
I got a real estate license. Everybody's going to use me now, right? Did some of us enter in, or those of us are getting ready to take our test? Is that maybe what you're thinking?
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit, absolutely. Now, how about those of you that have been in the business for more than 15 years? Referrals? Sure, right? Anybody sat across or been on the other end of the phone with that agent that's like, well, I've been doing this for 30 years. Congratulations, you just started earlier than I did. It sucks to be doing something wrong for 30 years, right? We've all thought it, we've all dealt with it. The reality of it is that entitlement is in every culture, whether it's an individual, business culture. Let me read something to you that paints entitlement, okay? This is actually the shareholder report of one of our biggest competition in the entire real estate industry. Let me read this to you, okay? Shareholder report of 2015. We may fail to effectively execute our strategies to grow our business, including increasing our agent count, expanding our network of franchises and agents, pursuing reacquisitions of the regional franchise rights in a number of regions in the U.S. and Canada, and increasing franchise and agent fees. Or we may fail to manage our growth effectively, which could have a material adverse effect on our brand, our financial performance, and results of operations. Man, if you're a shareholder in that company, should be a little concerned. So what happened? How did it get to this point? Say it again?
Thought they were entitled to it.
To what?
To all the business.
All the business. But then guess what? Somebody woke up and decided, hey, we're going to do something different to cause a shift. Right? And utilizing what's happening in the markets, guys, with everything that we've seen, shouldn't people be dropping off like flies, according to the National Association of Realtors, as far as agent count's concerned? It's just getting harder. Well, the reality of it is when you have the tools to help people battle entitlement, because we're waking up. It's Monday morning, it's 9 o'clock, and we're all here ready to go, ready to find something, ready to go out there and kill it. Drag it home to feed your family, right? We all left the cave, we're all here. So the truth of the matter of it is when competency and confidence actually intersect at that apex, if you recognize where you stand at this level, kind of at a heart level, you're able to then get that last push to get into this place of mastery. Okay? This is just being self-aware enough. Guys, what you just heard about this shareholder report is no different than what Sears experienced before Amazon came on the scene. Right? What Columbia, remember, who's Columbia House? Remember Columbia House? Okay, well guess what happened to Columbia House? iTunes, thank you, right? It's just business. It's the reality of it. And so remember last team meeting we showed those reports of what's going on with Keller Williams and kind of how we've grown? Okay? The reality of it is that happens at this level, at a localized micro level, okay? So, it's no different that when the reality of it, we recognize that disruption has come and the innovation of Keller Williams has already usurped and they are left wondering what happened. That's what's going on. They're like, well, what's going on? Why are we losing market share? Why can we not reacquire territories and franchises? Why are people coming over to Keller Williams in droves? Well, it's because we recognize that wealth is created in downturns, when those constraints come on, when those blinders are happening. So, what I want to reveal to you is really two things. There's two heart positions and mind positions that you can take. But I want to read this quote real quick first. It's Keller Williams really mirrors what Peter Thiel. Anybody know who that guy is? We got one person in the room. All right, good. That's right. He's the co-founder of PayPal. Anybody know it? Okay, we've all utilized PayPal, eBay, Amazon, all that stuff. Okay, so to avoid entitlement and doing, as he says, that doing what we already know how to do takes the world from point 1 to N. Where are my pre-cal and stats majors in the room? What does N mean? Infinite. Yeah, it's just, okay, just taking this from 1 to N, okay? But when we...
Did Carrie get that?
Yeah.
Well, of course she did. We got the engineer in the room, okay? So we got the engineer in the room. We got the business venture capital follower guy. It'll be fun to discover what else you guys are paying attention to. But when we create something new, okay, we actually go from 0 to 1. That's the hardest part. Unless companies invest in the difficult task of creating new things, they will fail in the future, no matter how big the potential profits are. Guys, we're seeing it. I am not apocalyptic. I am not going to stand on a street corner with a sign or on an orange crate. But man, shift is coming. Winter is coming. If we aren't focused in your personal business at this stage, but we're hoping we're going to get N and onward, man, you're missing out. If we're focused on 33 touch instead of 33 serve, like how could I actually serve you 33 times throughout the year rather than send you something about how to get wine out of your carpet? Okay, that might be a shift to create something new. Okay, the entitlement, they're just going to open up my email and they're going to send me business. Well, I hope so. Okay, so in order to truly battle entitlement and affect real change, we need to become the subjects of disruption. Lee, what do you mean? I don't know, you tell me. What does it mean to actually become a subject of disruption in this market?
Come up with something new.
Something new.
Well, we're doing it right now in our office.
Okay. How so?
We're thriving compared to people that have been in business for, I don't know, 30 years.
Okay.
So we're shaking it up.
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah. I say it's better to make dust than eat dust.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Just trying to get a word picture.
Give us some time.
I'll let us sink in.
I got Ron on a big horse.
What else, guys? What else do we have to be doing? If you want to become subject of disruption, yes, Peggy.
Well, nature of matter is change. So
Okay.
changes are going to occur. Being aware of what changes are occurring and adapting to those changes is important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to stay in the past.
Okay.
I don't think it's like always do something new. It's also do something better.
Okay.
You know, do everyone else.
Better mousetrap? Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta gather knowledge and create a strategy and then implement it. You gotta have a thought of what you're gonna do, how you're gonna get there, and how you're gonna make it happen.
Right. Guys, this is the truth of the reality of it is that becoming a subject of disruption is an inside game. Okay? The fact that you have the ability to brand yourself under this umbrella should feel like the most empowering thing. Because when you create those connections, when you really make an effort to be a part of those clients' lives, being that expert, and really stand on that foundation that you know what you're talking about, really in this area of mastery, they're immediately going to gravitate to you. That's what we want. And this is probably the best time, not just to generate market share for yourself, but to generate mind share. Let that one sink in, guys. Come on. It's not just about market share, it's about mind share. If you're not out there collecting people, you are missing out, because there is going to be a transfer. Those that have been loyal to one particular brand are discovering they're not feeling so great, and they're going to put off a vibe. That gives you the opportunity to step in. Are you seeing that a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah? I mean, you're in a fairly concentrated area of town. Are you seeing a shift as the new girl on the block?
I mean, a little bit. I guess it's just, being present and having those conversations with people on a consistent basis.
Yeah. Okay. So my question to you is as entrepreneurs and business people, how are you doing this? How are you battling the entitlement that comes in with this growth? What are you doing? Let's dialogue here.
Mine is, we're not entitled to anything.
Okay.
We're really not, and that's a fool's game. If
Okay.
you do, then that just puts you in neutral, stymies you, and you'll go down. And so the opposite of entitlement is being hungry and being out there every day. And if you just choose not to do that, then you will get what you get.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say setting goals.
Okay.
And being a part of a team.
Yeah.
We hold each other accountable to those goals, and when you see a 0 go up on the board for closings that month, it doesn't feel very good when you have to report it back.
Yeah.
So it really makes you that much hungrier the next month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
I think one way to do it as a new, maybe everybody, is just to make sure that every contact you have is sharing some value.
Okay. Yeah.
And coming from abundance. Make sure you're providing something, not just asking or expecting.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
For me, it's recognizing old habits and breaking out of those old habits to try something new.
Okay. It's good. Guys, an entrepreneur is someone who does more than anyone thinks possible with less than anyone thinks possible. Isn't that kind of, when we came back from living in Europe and the only opportunity opened up for me was to get into real estate, like, are you kidding me? I don't want to be 100% commission. Like, I was looking for a little bit of security. Well, I made more money in this industry than any other secure job. And so as I approached it from an entrepreneurial focus, I discovered there was two kind of main outlooks, I guess you could say, all right? So this, what I want to point out to you, this is sort of more gut check and heart check to really discover, like, what level of disruption are you on, or what's your outlook, okay? In the entrepreneurial world, and I'm going to throw some terms out, this is not meant to offend anybody, it's just meant to really show a mirror in front of you. In the entrepreneurial world, you can have a missionary outlook, okay? Or you can have a mercenary outlook. Lee, what the heck do you mean? Well, let's talk about it. A missionary outlook is that truly at the core of it, they're long-term strategic. Right? You're going in with a plan. You're going to try to figure this out and execute it over time. Mercenaries, I've never met one, but what I would expect is that they're going to be very opportunistic. Yeah? Do we see that in the market? Do we see that within the people that we deal with? Okay? Missionary outlook is they're going to be all about the big idea. With partnerships that last. Yeah? Okay? Mercenaries, all about the pitch and the deal. uncomfortable, putting a mirror up, like what am I really at? Where am I in this process? Okay? Missionary Outlook has an understanding that business innovation, it's a marathon, guys, not a sprint. Anybody think that once I got my real estate license, man, I'm going to make so much fast, easy money, it's going to be great? Ha! Joke's on you. Okay? In this world, they're looking for those short-term payoffs. They're not focused on the long haul. They're not focused on building a career. You know what's funny is that you go through real estate school, it's like 6 or 7 weeks, and then they're like, okay, now here's a career. Whereas traditional schooling, you're 4 years, and it's like, okay, I put this much time and effort into it. I suppose I should go out there and actually have a career. Well, there's more payoff in our industry on a shorter time frame, but most people think with that mentality that they're going to get in, they're going to make all this fast money, and then they're going to peace out and go live in Thailand or something. Okay? I love this one. In this world, there's a desire for making meaning. Because what we're doing, guys, is if we're not being idealistic and holding to the fact that we get to help people with the American dream, which is taking a bit of a beating over the last 15 years, it's how people are raising their families. It's how we're continuing on with our Western society, is that at the core of it, you're helping them do that. You're being stalwarts to hold up on the concept of family and ideas, and that you can raise and have your own little castle, and, you know, it's what we're doing. But on the other side is that what there is at the core of it, there's a lust for making just money. Okay? I love this aspect, is that in this column we fret over values. Like we really want to hang on to these standards, right? On the flip side, you've got a fretting over the financials. A couple more. Here's an exuding of an attitude of contribution. And we welcome good ideas wherever they originate. On the flip side, there's a display of an attitude of entitlement and revel in the aristocracy of the founders. Well, we've always done it this way. Can't have any new ideas. Well, remember that shareholder report I read to you? Yep. Okay. Last but not least is that there's an aspiring for success coupled with significance. And on the flip side, it's just purely a striving. There's a big difference between aspiring and striving for success. The way that success gets measured can get convoluted, especially when all you've got focused on is the money side of things. It's not about the money, guys.
What's on the other side? I'm sorry, again,
Striving for success.
Strive for success.
And aspire for success and significance.
And what's on this one?
So in this column, you have aspire for success and significance, striving solely for success at the expense of somebody else.
I've been reading the Red Book lately, and yesterday I read a section. I mean, I'm sure everybody else knows about this, but I'm a newbie to Keller Williams. But it said, if you take the money out of your equation and just be the best that you can be, everything will happen. And so that took a lot of anxiety, because I get really anxious sometimes with all the stuff that I have to deal with. And when you just think about that and just focus on being the best that you can be as a person, all those things will work out.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Because the reality of it is, guys, is remember, there is an apex. We're going to get to this point where my confidence matches my competency, and it's easy to set back and throttle down. Well, I really, really, really want you to understand that that's an entitlement mentality, and if you really want to get to that place, you have to go there. You have to be willing to look in the mirror and say, okay, am I being opportunistic? No, maybe I'm being more strategic. Well, in this case, I really do want to continue for a desire to have meaning in this industry, meaningful things in what I do, rather than just having a lust for the money. Remember, disruptive innovation is an inside game. These are fairly self-reflective questions. And as we're continuing on, as we're growing our market share for our company, this is to help you generate mind share for your people. It's just a repositioning of your heart. It's just a repositioning of the way your outlook is with all the constraints that we're feeling. Okay? So I got 3 questions that I want you to answer. You can write them down, you don't have to do it now, but take some time this week. This will help you reveal. You might be thinking, Lee, you're full of whatever, you don't know what you're talking about. That's fine. I'm confident in who I am. But I want you to have these questions solidly answered so that it'll take you further up to that place. Okay? Question number 1. Do you have a definition of success that allows you to stand for something special and inspires others to stand with you?
Can you say it again?
You bet. Do you have a definition of success that allows you to stand for something special and inspires others to stand with you? Great question, Lee. Wow. All right, number 2. Do you have a values proposition that explains what you believe in addition to a values proposition that defines what you sell? I'll say it again. Do you have a values proposition that explains what you believe in addition to a values proposition that defines what you sell? All right, last question. Do you and your colleagues work as distinctively as you compete, and do those behaviors create something meaningful? Let me say it again. Do you and your colleagues work as distinctively as you compete, and do those behaviors create something meaningful? Guys, this week I really, really want you to take some time for yourself to answer, do I really have a definition of success? Do I really have a values proposition for not just myself, but for others in the service that I provide? And then does my interaction with my colleagues actually create something meaningful? All of this is to help you get past that, because I really, really want you to grab mind share. This is the best time to be doing that, because there is going to be that realization when the national media actually realizes what's going on. Okay, anybody know what the real economic definition of a recession is? I know you do. When we have declines for 2 consecutive quarters of economic GDP output, That's what's happening in this country, but we're not calling that. Now, Denver's going to be insulated, so when the national media finally starts to like catch on what's going on, guys, oil and gas is getting hammered. The car industry, they are, I mean, 84 months to finance a car. Like, that's not including manufacturer rebates. They're giving these things away just to keep the quote-unquote economic stimulation going. If you really look at what's going on, we are in deep decline. That's the best time for you to be getting mind share. It's not a time to cower back in fear, but to really go out there. And if you have this outlook for a long term, you're going to win. If you're focused here, go get a job. Okay? Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? Yeah.
I have a question about having a misconnect. I'm hearing two messages.
Okay.
I'm just not connecting the dots. One message is that we're in this thriving economy, that it's not a bubble. We're riding this wave into the new norm. And then the other message is that winter is coming. How do those two?
How do those? Okay, so great point. Guys, basically we got two real things happening. You got an East Coast and a West Coast, and then Middle America stays kind of insulated. Now Denver's got like 5 layers of insulation around it.
If you want to get the perfect picture, take a look at the Case-Shiller Index, look at Denver, look at the rest of the United States. This is rinse and repeat. It's going to behave the almost exact same way as it did last time.
Yeah.
Denver, the market went up. Denver kind of went sideways, and we're actually above our 2006 average price. The rest of the nation expanded another 30% on top of that, and then came down, and it's just, and in fact, some markets haven't even surpassed the 2000 average price. The markets all behave a little differently, so take a look at that and use that as a great visual index of what's about to happen again.
And here's the reality of it is when the media starts to take on the conversation about getting real about what's happening as a whole, you have to be knowledgeable enough to understand that what's happening in their local world isn't the same thing that's going on in Vegas and Phoenix and Florida. And you have to know this stuff because these facts basically destroy any pushback you might receive. Okay? So there's going to be two conversations. You have to know what's going on, and most of the time you're like, man, these people are talking on both sides of their you-know-what. But the truth of the matter is if you stay focused on what's happening here at a local level, guys, we're in a great area. It's the same thing that we experienced. I didn't see the swings of 12%, but I saw 4% when I was in Texas in 2008, 2009. I mean, it's not sexy, but there was still growth. People weren't losing their shirts. There was 4 foreclosures. I think it was the highest that I ever saw. Okay, well, people are still working. There's still stuff going on. But yet they were not willing to enter into the game because they heard on CNN that the world's falling apart. So this is just becoming aware of that. Make sense? Does that answer your question? Okay.
4 foreclosures in a year?
Yeah, well, at one time.
At one time.
Yeah. In a year, I bet there was 25.
Because in the heyday here, we were doing 30 to 60 BPOs a week on foreclosures.
Oh, yeah. It's not even close. Yeah. But there was still market appreciation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I told you this was a little sticky subject. It's a little heavy, but it's to really help you become more self-aware. Okay? Like I said, it plays to that inner 12-year-old that we all have. What do you mean, Dad? I deserve an iPhone. Nah, okay. Yeah, I got my own issues. Sorry. Have you seen that movie Inside Out?
Yes.
That's my life, okay?
Yeah,
That's my life.
That's good.
All right, I didn't want to leave on a heavy, so the reality of it is, guys, I told you, sitting in here, listening to you as Marty was talking about what's going on, made me so proud of the fact that you're taking ownership of this stuff to really take it judo throw it so that you land on top, meaning more mind share, not just market share. Okay?
So, you guys, how many of you that have sold real estate for more than 2 years have been in a regular class setting where these are the kinds of things that you've had discussions on? Raise your hand.
Never.
Do you recognize between Marty, who I think is out on the phone, and Lee here, the caliber of talent that we have leading our office right now?
Yes. Thanks, guys. It is. It's an honor. I love talking about this stuff because I love developing business people. I don't want you just to be, Joe real estate practitioner. Like, let's own something if we're going to make ourselves get up out of bed and do this. Okay? So, all right. We're getting out of here 2 minutes early unless anybody's got anything else. Have an awesome Monday. A great start to your week. Stay focused on what is the most important, which is you. See ya.
You're officially here.